Are you being kind to yourself? Are you being a leader within yourself? Are you standing true to your values and your boundaries? Having the time, the space and time to be grounded where I am, honoring the reality of the circumstances that I live in, and then projecting into the future. What are my goals and how do I get there? The baby steps to get there.
Hello, and welcome to our latest episode of Hello Moxie. Today, I am so excited to be joined by Shauna Van Mourik. Shauna and I met, oh my goodness, through a mutual friend of ours, Andrew Stout, and I'm so excited to have her on the show today. We are both our kindred spirits when it comes to marketing. We love marketing with impact and love marketing that is authentic and real and all that fun stuff. So, Shauna, I would love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about you and what's lighting you up right now.
Oh, goodness. Well, from the professional point of view, I usually just let everybody know that therapists, coaches, service-based entrepreneurs, they hire me when they're tired of outdated marketing tactics and branding ideologies that are soul-sucking and completely misaligned with who they truly are. They come over to me so that they can actually do marketing and do branding in a way that feels like home. Not only does it work, but it's fun too. On the more personal side of things, I'm a mom of 3 little hooligans at the time of this recording, and I am in my baking era. So I have sourdough starter ready to go, and I'm excited to share with everybody in my circle who's close to me all of the focaccia loaves that are in the future, in the near future. So
I love it. So, oh my gosh, first of all, outdated marketing strategies, I'd love to hear. What are the outdated marketing strategies that you see when you're working with coaches that you're like, we need to kick that to the curb? What have you noticed?
honestly, the main thing that I have to say is that, like, I typically work with women, and marketing and branding and the ideologies behind that are largely created by men. Historically, it's men talking about all of these things in a way that, is very reminiscent of the way our health systems are organized. It's all catered to the male consumer or the male, the person in business, whereas a woman in business functions a little bit differently. They're going to resonate a little differently with their brand. They're going to project it a little bit differently. And they're also going to function in the marketing aspect of things when you're actually executing on any strategy you create in a different way. A lot of times we don't have the luxury of time and bandwidth. We're juggling a lot of different things all at once. Now, I'm not saying that men or anything in the past, they didn't have to do that in certain circumstances. But what I am saying is that to tell me when I first started my business that I had to show up X number of times a day, that I had to spin my wheels and dance on a TikTok thing or all that jazz, right? That wasn't going to happen.
Oh, I would love to see you spin your wheels and dance on a TikTok thing, Shauna.
It does exist. I did do it for a little while and it was fun, but I did it for the fun.
Yeah.
I didn't do it for the algorithm or something to that effect. I'm very much rooted in the idea that, like, I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur. I have to run my house. I have to take care of my kids. I have to do the chores around the house. I have to make sure that my relationship is functioning well. Do I have a great partner? Sure. But that doesn't stop me from still having to be really the default parent in a lot of circumstances, from having to manage all of these different expectations as the eldest daughter, as someone in the club sandwich generation, meaning I have children, a mother, and a grandmother who all rely on me. All of these things that I need to manage, that many women need to manage, on top of running a business. The expectations need to shift. And they need to be more in alignment so that I can then, after doing all this stuff that needs to get done, I can read my book at the end of the day or garden. I love gardening, or bake my sourdough. If I focused on that very bro aspect of branding and marketing, if I was hustle culture, and if I really didn't connect so deeply with my lifestyle and allow my clients to do the same thing, then I wouldn't be able to be fulfilled in the successes that I achieve. The successes very well may happen, but that fulfillment wouldn't. It's really important to remember that we don't build our business in order to just have the business, right? So that our life revolves around the business. That's usually not why people get into this space. We want our business to sustain our lifestyle, right? Not the other way around. So that was a longer story than I intended to tell, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. What I'm hearing is that for women, what works is when we can kind of like bring our whole selves, our whole, however we show up at home in our communities, bring that to our business and bring that to our marketing so that we can show our potential customers our whole self rather than just like maybe this compartmentalized, very businessy person that follows all the rules of the algorithm and is posting X number of times a day, et cetera, et cetera.
On the front side, yeah, absolutely. I just also always like to say that there are two sides of that coin,
Mm.
right? So on the front side, yes, bringing your whole self to the forefront and really being authentic in that capacity. But also on the back end, when you're creating your systems and processes that surround your branding and marketing, it needs to honor you
Mm.
and the life you want to live and the energy that you really have so that you're grounded in reality.
Mm.
While still, of course, I call this grounded luxury. You're grounded in reality while not losing sight of your ambitious dreams and those beautiful goals of success, whatever success looks like for you. It's that duality is very important to honor and respect as we're going through the process of running a business.
I love that. So, what are some of the systems that you found worked for maybe you or some of your clients to help them kind of like, because you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I was this weekend was like, how the heck am I going to do all this stuff? Like, when you're running a business, you have to get super laser focused. You just do, because you could be doing any number of things in your business, really. And there's no one to tell you. You don't have a boss that's like, this is what you need to do. And so it can be very easy, I think, for us to just kind of like almost get distracted or feel this pressure like we've got to take on so much. And it just seems like we've got to get laser focused. So what do you advise to your clients to help them get laser focused? And what has worked for you in the back end of your business? What are the systems that you found that have really worked for you in this way?
I mean, I can go a few different ways with regards to this answer. One of the ways is something like, talk about tools and functionality and actually, creating the workflows and systems in your back end. I could totally go that way, but I'm not going to. Why? Because we hear that all the time, right? And I feel like in that capacity, it's like another checklist. It's another to do. To go, oh, I'm not doing that. Oh, right, I have to. We don't want to do the I have to game. I don't like that game personally. It does have to happen, sure. But I won't be telling you anything fresh if I go there. So instead, the other direction that I go is actually, I have something that I give away. It's called your dream business, dream life roadmap. And I do this for myself, which is why I created it for others. And I'll give you a little bit of a little introduction to it. The idea behind this roadmap is it comes from actually the 12-week year. If you haven't read the book, it's an amazing book. Let me see if I can. It's Mike. Is it Michael Lennington? Something to that effect. See if I can remember people's names. And then, of course, The One Thing by Gary Keller. That's a really great one. And there are a few other books that influenced it, as well as my own experience and some coaching that I just fused together to create this system. What does it look like? Very briefly, it is 90 days or 12 weeks or a quarter, whatever you want to call it. We plan it out ahead of time, but not in a way that is stressful or hyper detailed or you need to make every choice now type of way. We actually start with what's important to me, lifestyle wise. In Q1, do I want to focus on, maybe you've made a resolution, you want to eat better. I don't really subscribe to resolutions, but maybe you did, whatever.
You and me both. I don't either.
Right? Maybe you want to unplug more. Maybe, and it doesn't matter what time of year this is. For me, Q2, usually I'm like, I need to set up my garden. Not only do I need to, but like I want to. This is important to me. So I prioritize that first. Mm-hmm. My life comes first. So I know, and it's a spreadsheet. First things first, what do I really want to do? What's going to fill my cup? Then I look at what are potential challenges? that are going to come up for me in each of these weeks, these 12 weeks. Because if there's a birthday, you can bet your butt that there's going to be a day or two that I'm not going to be able to do much. I'm going to be celebrating or doing something with a kid or my husband or anybody. Maybe there's a holiday coming up. All of those matter because they take time out of your day, energy out of your bucket, right? Your bandwidth. You need to be aware of that, grounding you in reality. And then there are a few other categories you want to look at that are more tactical, practical, driven towards your goal. Do I need to refine my client workflow? Well, you're going to want to plug that into a number of weeks and break it down into smaller tasks so that you can actually get it done. Mm-hmm. Do I have a campaign coming up? And if I do, where does it fall in these 12 weeks? And how do I reverse engineer it to make sure that I'm not biting off more than I can chew and I get things done ahead of time? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Doing this, and you don't have to do the thing. Keep in mind that this process isn't like, I have to write this, 8 email sequence for the whatever launch of something. You don't need to do that. You just need to know that you're going to have to do that and understand that a week or two might be taken up with that activity, among others, depending on the category that you're functioning in. So doing that, just having the time, the space and time to be grounded where I am, honoring the reality of the circumstances that I live in, and then projecting into the future, what are my goals and how do I get there? The baby steps to get there. That just changes your entire outlook of your day-to-day. You know exactly what you need to do, what's in alignment, and what's actually going to get you from point A to point B in a straight line, more or less. I mean, life happens and we honor that and we give ourselves grace, but it'll get you there as directly as possible.
Yeah, it reduces the overwhelm too. Because if you have it all planned out, you kind of can reduce some of the uncertainty. We all face uncertainty every day, frankly, and that's going to come in our lives. And being able to kind of like build for that and create space for that in what we're mapping out and the way that you've mapped it out is really, it reduces the overwhelm and also helps so that when something might come and unexpectedly enter your world that you weren't expecting, you kind of know how to shift and bend around it because you have kind of this longer term plan in place. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I personally make this plan every 12 weeks or every quarter, every whatever. I take a CEO weekend. And there's a method to the madness. We use, the Eisenhower matrix to make sure that we take things off of our plate that aren't supposed to be there, so that we delegate to other people and we make sure that we're making really informed decisions all the way along the way. And I actually take the whole weekend away from my house. Mm-hmm. I book a little Airbnb, I sit in and I map out that entire time in a space of calm, of slowness. I take breaks to sketch and to ground myself. Mm-hmm. And that truly, that system, that process that I take myself through every quarter sets me up for a more productive next quarter. Mm-hmm. And it also just makes me feel like it makes you feel like a real business person, right? I know what's going on instead of just putting out fires all the time.
Yeah, you can also, it's just good to pause in that way. I think as women, so often we get stuck in this busy mode because you mentioned caretaking. I mean, so many of us are taking care of others, and it's like, just how can we take care of ourselves so that we can take care of others? And it's so important to pause in that way and just take a step back so that you can get some perspective. And just, it really helps you be able to see the larger picture and think more creatively about how to handle whatever's coming next. So it's great advice. A CEO retreat. Ladies, we all need one.
And you can go solo or you can go with like a buddy. Yeah. I have had people go with a buddy, and it can be very productive as long as you have an agenda so that you have your solo time to think through things, and then you have your together time to maybe bounce ideas off and relax, and maybe you want to go to a real spa and you all just do that. That's fine. I go solo.
Yeah.
I know myself. If I went with you, Nicole, listen, I'd be peeking into the other room going, hi. So
there is something.
I become a recluse for a few days.
What advice do you give to your business owners who maybe, either financially or just like just don't have the resources to be able to go like physically away. What would you advise for those women that might not have that option?
This is actually a really great question, and it's twofold. First thing I want to say is that I want to share the fact that I'm not going to like a Scandinavian spa. I just want to clarify that. Like, that is not what I'm doing. I have found a wonderful place in a town just like the town right next to mine. And I went there. It's an Airbnb, but it's just one room for myself. And it's lovely. And when I went there the first time, I paid an X amount. It wasn't too much. I want to say under $100. And then I made friends with the hosts, as one does. And now I get to go there for a little bit. I mean, so now I go there and it's a little bit less each night. So, I mean, first of all, it doesn't have to be expensive, but
that's
I also understand that even having an extra $100 or $200 every quarter just to go out can feel like a lot. I want to encourage everyone who's joining us for this conversation to reflect on that and be like, I deserve this, first of all.
Yes.
So the first thing, yes, you deserve this. And I know it can feel like a lot, but you do deserve it. And it will help you to make leaps and bounds of progress ahead of it. It's an investment. That said, I still live in reality, and that is still not always an option. So what do? Well, the cool thing about the 12-week year, if you've read the book, if you haven't, I'll let you know that there's actually like 13 weeks in each quarter. So the 12-week year is actually designed so that you can have a week off. So if you actually don't have if you don't feel like you have the time or the money to escape for a weekend, take that 13th week and just budget that week, like no calls. Your regular work week exists, and you're going to be doing that anyways. Don't book calls and just spend that time making your plan during the workday. And then function as normal after the fact. But take that 13th week to actually do your CEO work and plan for the quarter ahead.
Love that advice. What have you noticed? Like, what are some of the breakthroughs or shifts that you've noticed since you've been doing this in your own business and as you've helped other clients make this 12-week shift in the CEO retreat?
One of my favorite shifts for myself is coming to terms with my brand voice in a very meaningful way. So I have always been an authentic person. My message, my brand voice it hasn't changed. I can't say that because it's always kind of been there and aligned. But the way I approach it and the fullness of self that I experience when articulating what I do has felt just so much better. And I've noticed that with a lot of my clients as well. In fact, I was just talking to someone this morning about their experience, not only with their CEO weekend, but also with another thing that we do is a weekly accountability meeting where you take all of those things that you've decided on in your CEO weekend and you apply it with check-ins every single week with your partners. This is something that I do in my programming, something that I teach to my clients, and I help to facilitate different pods, different groups in order for them to achieve the success in this way. And one of them revealed to me today that they didn't think they were able to do the things that they did. Like upon reflection, now that we're coming to the end of the year at the time of this recording, upon reflection, they didn't think they would actually be able to do all the things that they've gotten done. They didn't think that they'd be able to weather some of the storms they experienced along the way without those check-ins, without that reflection and that planning forward. They said that once they got to, because they just had a really great week, and they said, this was the week I've been looking for. And I feel, and these are her words, I feel like I wouldn't have stuck to it through the hard parts in order to get to this amazing week that I've had where, they've closed, I think they said that they closed 4 sales in a week that they had been waiting on for a couple of months. Right. They said that honestly, they wanted to pull the plug, but now they've gotten here and it was all because they stuck to their plan. They did the thing they needed to do. They took aligned action.
Love that. So beautiful. I love what you shared about how it's helped you feel a fullness of self I think that's really beautiful. I love that. A fullness of self. I think a lot of people that might be listening to this are terrified of personal branding. I talked to quite a few women who feel like there's a pressure around it, that they've got to perform or, show up a certain way. And, there's definitely some social anxiety that comes up for a lot of women when it comes to having to have a personal brand. A lot of people are like, I don't want the attention on me. I just want my work to speak for itself. What do you say? And I just think that this fullness of self that you mentioned, as you've experienced this with your retreats and everything, is just a beautiful experience to be able to feel this fullness of self. What would you say to some women that might be feeling timid about, marketing their business, being afraid to like put themselves out there that way because they want the work to speak for itself, or they're feeling maybe some pressure around it?
Yeah. So one of the things you said that really comes up a lot, maybe not in those words, but is this idea that you want your work to speak for itself. This kind of leans on the idea of that we hear, build it and they will come, right? And it holds hands with tell people about it and you'll close sales. As a marketing person, I hate to say it, but you can't just post about something and then make a sale. It doesn't work that way typically. There's a lot of in between stuff, a lot of cogs that need to be turned along the way in order to really make sure that your system works for you. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing I needed to address, because that's kind of the elephant in the room. I get it. I want my work to speak for itself too. And it does in its category, but that's one cog. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to keep the momentum going for you so that things feel sustainable and so that you actually have a predictable income, a predictable vacation schedule. I know that that's something, I know it sounds silly for me to go from income to vacation schedule, but let's be real. We're always thinking about how many hours do I need to work? Whereas my personal preference is to say, when can I take the next week off?
Yes, say it out loud. There's no, it's great. We need to be thinking that way,
And that's that sustainability. Yes, we want to live our life. And so that's the first thing I want to say is just like, that is one piece of the puzzle. Fear of showing up authentically and fully and really getting past that can be a challenge. It was a challenge for me. It still can be a challenge when I make certain realizations. I go, oh, I didn't unearth that until now. And now I have to kind of re-realize myself. So I don't want to discount the fact that it's hard. But I also read a lot. And Glennon Doyle in Untamed says, you can do hard things.
Yeah. Yep.
So I believe that you can do hard things. And I want to talk about something that I've been talking about for a while. It's something I've called the two icities. And it's authenticity and simplicity. And these things work hand in hand. So the thing is, when you start stepping into your authentic self, when you really start leaning into what does it mean to be me, when you start unearthing these different elements of yourself and accepting them and showing them to the world, things become simpler. Decisions become simpler. Pressing record becomes simpler. Pressing post becomes simpler. Everything just starts to become simpler. And the cool thing about that is that as things become simpler, you're better able to lean into your authentic self. And so you become more in attuned with who you are. You uncover more things, which makes things simpler, and you can see how it goes on and on and on.
Yes.
So when you're hesitant, when you're scared, when you think you need to copy Sally because Sally's successful, or at least she appears to be on the outside, I just want you to remember that not being authentic, playing copycat with what seems to work or what has worked for Sally, it's not going to make your life simpler. It's not going to make you feel full and fulfilled. And that's problematic when it comes to the longevity of your business, when it comes to sustainability and being able to predict your vacations. So even though it's hard, you can do hard things and it's worth it in the long run.
That's lovely. I love this authenticity and simplicity.
Yeah.
Yes, it's such a great challenge. I think too, when I think about my own business and personal brand, I will say that there are certain things that I'm very clear I know that I want to participate in when it comes to like building my personal brand. Like that, I'm like, okay, yep, I can be on this social media platform and this works for me. And that's great. But that doesn't mean I need to be on all of them. And so I can make a decision to say, this is where I want to focus my time and energy. And it works for me. And so you don't like, I think there's a lot of pressure maybe that women feel like you've got to show up everywhere and you've got to be everywhere to be successful. And that's not true. But you do need to, accept that it's hard at first. I remember the first time after I made the decision, Shauna, that I was going to invest in my personal brand and I did my first LinkedIn post. It must have been I don't even remember, like 5 years ago or something. I don't know. I had like 200 followers or something. I don't even remember. Anyway, I wrote about social anxiety. I remember my first post was like, I'm terrified to post this. And basically like this is my fear around it, but I'm going to do it anyway. That was my first post. It was very vulnerable. And I remember how difficult it was for me to post that. Like I almost like erased, like deleted it afterwards. It took me forever to push the publish button. So if you're listening and you're like, I've never posted, I've been lurking for all this time and you're terrified, like I was terrified too. Like it's not like people who do this are like, it's easy and it's just easy for them. It is hard. And you just have to, accept that it's going to be hard at first. And that's
Process.
yeah,
Process. And there are a lot of different ways to go about it. And the way I described there about the tuicities and just kind of leaning back and forth, that's a very progressive and slow moving way of showing up and coming to terms with yourself. I love that you were able to just make your post about social anxiety and kind of emerge into that sense of knowing yourself and being able to share that with others. I honestly took a slightly different approach. I shocked my system. I went online and I went live and I just did it. I just went live and I didn't just go live and talk to people. Okay, let me just be clear. I went live and sang while playing my ukulele. And if anyone, I have it. I'm going to give you a little bit. Way up here is my ukulele. So I said, you know what? If I can, I'm going to stop bouncing. Here we go. If I can go live and strum my ukulele and play and sing a song. And listen, I'm not an expert ukulele player. I'm not an expert singer by any stretch of the imagination. I won't burst your eardrums, but I mean, let's be real. So I just said, I'm terrified, and this is like the scariest thing I can think to do online right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it. And then everything else felt, that's all right. I can type that out. I can take a selfie of myself upside down. I can climb a tree and record myself up there because I've literally sang and played a ukulele to the world. So everything else is old hat.
I also love that too, because what does singing and playing a ukulele have to do with marketing, right? Like it's loosely related, but it's not like a lot of times people think like, if I'm going to post, it has to be about what I do for my business and it must, and I think that the reality is the more you can bring some of those beautiful parts of yourself into your work and how you show up, the more people are going to like, connect with you. Yeah. And it's authentic. It's real. It's authentic.
And the I know it's a buzzword, authenticity and all that jazz, but authenticity it really is magnetic. When you're being true to yourself and when you're showing up in alignment and with clarity.
Yeah.
And with clarity, it is magnetic.
That's
people
so
get
true.
it and they want to be a part of your world.
Yeah, because there's only one you in the world. Why do you want to be like Nicole or Shauna when you can be whoever whoever, like there's only one you. Like that's magic if you think about it. Like nobody else can do you like you.
And just in case anybody was wondering, one of my best clients, I know you're not supposed to have favorites, whatever, but one of my best clients actually converted over our mutual love of the ukulele. So, showing up in her full self even if it doesn't seem to have anything to do with what you do, it might just make the difference.
Yes. Oh, I love this so much. Well, I would love to talk a little bit more about shifting gears a little bit to a woman in history. We love to talk about women in history on the show. Who is a woman in history that's really inspired you, Shauna? I'd love to hear about her and what values she has that you really relate to or resonate with.
So one thing that I thought of as soon as we started kind of knowing that you were going to ask about a woman in history, a lot of times people will start thinking of, oh, well, we're going to talk about Rosa Parks, or we're going to talk about Marie Antoinette. I don't know, right? Like whatever, like somebody in true history. But for myself, I'd like to talk to somebody who's literally making history. And that's Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I know, basic girl. I know, basic, whatever. But I'm a Swiftie, first of all. But my daughter tells me I'm an OG Swiftie. This is apparently a thing. I'm an OG Swiftie. I was there when she first came out with her self-titled album. And she is a history maker. She is literally making history for so many people in so many profound and beautiful ways. So that's my girl. That's my girl.
How is she making history that's different than the women that have come before her, in your opinion?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I would say different and the same, right?
Yeah.
Because remember that I really truly believe that women, when they're in alignment, when they're in attunement with themselves and their feminine energy, we really do learn from each other in a very meaningful and deep, like marrow deep way. So different and similar in the same way. So she is really, and I actually made a few notes because I thought about it, and it just kept getting deeper and deeper the more I went. So I wanted to make sure I organized my thoughts. The first thing, of course, is the music industry. Just tactical, practical. She not only made literal changes for herself, reclaiming her music in public, openly doing, re-recording her music, and actually reestablishing the idea that like the female musician or artist or celebrity does not have an expiration date, which is something that has just permeated the media industry for so long. She's really stood up in that. She also has genre hopped without losing trust, which is amazing. So the music industry alone, she's been superb. Then there's also, of course, branding and marketing. She is just, her and her team, they are just marketing masterminds. Not only does she, like you think of Taylor Swift and you think that she's got her albums, so she's marketing her product. But the reality is that she's actually marketing a concept, and the concept is belonging.
Yep.
And she does that so effective. Why can I just immediately be like, I'm an OG Swiftie? And everybody knows what that is. Everybody knows that feeling. Even if they're not a part of it, it's just this conglomeration. And she's strategically weaponizes her authenticity and her transparency. So this is where I tell people, and my equivalent to this is when we're talking about authenticity, I'm not talking about ugly crying in the closet.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about hanging your dirty laundry.
Right.
I'm talking about being intentional about how you show up and what you share in order to make sure that you're making positive change in the world.
Yeah.
The other thing, of course, the biggest thing that you've heard me overarchingly describe is her feminist movements. And keeping in mind that I'm talking about true feminism, which is really rooted in egalitarianism. So making sure that men and women both have equal skin in the game.
Yeah.
Harmony in that space. So her evolution in that world was really cool too. She evolved from that good girl feminism to the kind of like that, when you're polite and you're grateful and you do what you need to do, that sort of thing. She started naming double standards in her industry and in society. And now she's literally stopped asking permission entirely, and she's just making change.
Yeah.
She names misogyny without centering men is another huge thing that she does that I just can't, I couldn't fathom it until she did it. And then it just made so much sense. And of course, one of the things that I think is really important for egalitarianism and feminism is modeling emotional range without apology and allowing men and women both to kind of step into that space. I have so many other examples of why she matters, but that's just like the tip of the iceberg.
Oh my
Here I am
God.
on my soapbox.
So much good stuff here. Like, okay, I love what you shared. So many things I loved what you shared. I love what you shared about how she's marketing belonging. That is so huge. Like we all want to belong. That's like a basic human need. And so the fact that she's been able to do that, I remember hearing her on a podcast episode. I think it was her husband's or her fiance's podcast, future husband. And she said, I am in the business of emotion. And I thought that was brilliant. Like she knows exactly what she's selling at that deeper level. And like I would ask anyone listening, if you're marketing a business or you own a business, like, do you know deep down what it is that you're actually selling? Like she just nailed it. She's like, I'm in the business of emotion. What business are you in? You know, like that's so smart. I love what you
And
shared about how she strategically weaponizes her authenticity. Like totally, like if you think about how she's known as an artist and as a person, everybody is so curious about who's she going to be singing about. But she never like, she's very careful so that it's like this kind of guessing game. Like you're just kind of like, is it about this person or is it not? But she's just very authentic about showing up in her music with her real lived experiences. She doesn't hold back from that. And she does it in a way that kind of piques people's interest, So that's a really curious thing to me. I love that. And the fact that she's names the double standards, but now she's stepping into it, to me, that reflects the fact that as she has become more powerful and influential, the reality is she has a lot of power now. And so because she has a lot of power, she's using it and has the ability to say things and do things and make a stand for things, frankly, that some people with a lot less power would maybe be able to do. And so that I think is a privilege that she has. And I think she really respects that. Like, I think she takes that very seriously and honors that. But I think that's also a reality, is that a lot of women are not in a position where they could name the double standards or even speak up the way that she does, because she does have so much influence and power.
And keeping in mind that like she took a journey to get there, where
Exactly.
like she was always a feminist and she always stood true in what she believed in, and her ability to take action evolved, and she took action in different ways. So maybe you're not able to create systemic change in the way that she has in the media industry. Sure. But you can speak out about it. Or if maybe you can't speak out about it, maybe you can at least model it to somebody, like be a role model in some way. Like there's always something that you could do or say in order to make it happen. And she's just shown the full arch, the full journey. And that for me, it's very empowering. It makes me feel like I can do anything. Look what she did. And really, when it comes to a lifespan, a few short years.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think being able to see her journey, you see this evolution, right? Like of how she's grown into this person and how she'll continue to evolve and how that will continue to develop. And I think it's just a beautiful way to look at our own experience in life that way too, that it's an evolution, right? And as we continue to grow, we're going to evolve in these new ways and we'll be able to have an influence in different ways, kind of like she has, which is kind of cool.
And you know what? When you said that, I started picturing with regards to her discography. And I said I was an OG Swiftie, and it got to the point where she released Reputations. And Reputations was quite the divergence for her. She went in a completely different direction. And I remember the first time I listened to it and I thought, I need to sit with this for a minute. Just because it was so different. And I did. I sat with it for a hot minute, not knowing how I felt about it. And I love it now, right? Like now that I say, I'm like, I love, love, love it. And then we see her continuing to progress. And then you see her being one of the only people who released music during the 2020 pandemic, during the COVID-19 pandemic. She was one of the only people who released new music, which first of all is profound and amazing. I loved it. Not only did she release new music, she released 2 albums. Amazing. And those 2 albums were like folk. It was folk. It was not her country that she started out with. It was not her pop and hip hop combination kind of going. It wasn't urban. It was completely different. But she embodies each of these genres so beautifully and so fully. The reason I'm bringing this up is because this is something to do with our conversation about your personal brand, your authenticity, and your showing up. Many people confuse authenticity with consistency. And I really want to drive this home, the fact that you are a multifaceted human being and you're allowed to be. What winds up happening is people see what they believe to be their most authentic selves, or the self that they are most comfortable with, or that is received the best by society or whichever group that they're in. And they pick that self and they polish it, they practice it, they rehearse it until it is perfect. And that's who they are. And see, that's problematic. Because what happens when the funny friend breaks down in tears? What happens when the calm parent loses her ever-loving shit? Right? What happens? This is problematic. What we need to embrace and accept and allow is what Taylor does in all of her music, is the fact that we are multidimensional humans. And we're allowed to be. We're allowed to take up space in a variety of different realms.
Yeah.
We still retain that clarity, that sense of self. And you've mentioned this actually briefly, is by really being in tune with your values. And that's how you chose to show up on one platform.
Yeah, exactly.
Values. It's that connectedness, that rootedness that will allow you to experience your fullness of self within your brand and within your life, and allow yourself to be the funny friend who is allowed to cry, the calm parent who's allowed to lose their bananas, the professional businesswoman who climbs trees, makes funny gestures, and plays a ukulele on Facebook. You're allowed.
I really think that's so beautiful. I think when we think about change and who we are, like a lot of times people are like afraid to change because, oh no, it's not going to be consistent with who people think I am. And so there is a balancing act there, because people want to have like some sense, a small sense of like, okay, this is who this person is. And yet at the same time have room to be able to grow and evolve as a human and change the way that we all change throughout our lives, and allow space for that. And so it's like maintaining this kind of balance between the two. But you hit the nail on the head about values. It's like, if you can get really clear about what your values are, and as long as you're like honoring your values and how you show up, that gives you room to evolve and shift and change. Like, I don't know what Taylor Swift's values are entirely, but I bet we could probably talk about what her core values are, Shauna, and I bet you a bottom dollar they haven't changed since she started 20 years ago.
And I bet you we'd be pretty darn right. Like, I bet you if we sat and thought about it, we'd probably be pretty right. If she walked through the door and we said, hey, Taylor, are these your values? After discussing it, I bet you she'd be like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Because she's so consistent and rooted in her beliefs, no matter how she expresses it and how she evolves as a woman. Those core beliefs have been pretty well consistent throughout.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I think we should guess what her values are. Ooh.
That's the project. That's the next project for anybody who's joining us today.
Yeah.
Let's what are her values? What do you think her values are? And how do they show up in her work and in the life and in the part of her life that we're allowed to see, keeping in mind that she has her own life outside of this as well, of course.
Yes. There's some that immediately come to mind. Like, I think she deeply values the creative process.
Oh, yes.
Deeply. Like, she values creative honesty. I think she deeply values family. It's so clear, like from the beginning. So anyway, those are just a few, but like, if you really think about it, she's always stayed true to her values, no matter what direction her music has gone. And there's always that kind of like North Star center. And so for anyone out there who's like, how do I navigate this personal brand? Am I allowed to change? Can I cry and laugh at the, yes. And, like definitely just as long as it's rooted in your values and getting clarity on what those are.
That's it. And that's actually when I'm working with people on their personal brand, one of the first questions and sessions that we have is values based. We discuss, what does this look like? And I share with people, I have like a set of values that I share with the world. One of the main values is, I say, lead with kindness. It's a value of mine. And the reason it's a value of mine is because it's kind of like an umbrella value that encompasses leadership, kindness, and that whole idea of two sides of the same coin, where this leadership and this kindness is not only forward facing, it's not only making sure that you're being kind and being a leader for others, a role model and that sort of thing, but it's also reflective of yourself. Are you being kind to yourself? Are you being a leader within yourself? Are you standing true to your values and your boundaries? Yes. These are really important parts of showing up in alignment and achieving your goals in a way that feels like you can experience the fullness of self that you deserve. So that's one of my deep values. Lead with kindness.
I think that's beautiful. And it's so clear. And I just love this fullness of self that we've been talking about today. It's so clear that you lead that way. And I love that the work that you're doing is really helping women come into this fullness of self and just be unabashed in it. And just tying it to Taylor Swift and how she clearly is like living fullness of self in everything that she does and the way that she shows up. She is unapologetically herself. And she's just like, this is me. I don't care. I remember after her album came out, this latest album, and people were talking about everyone's talking about it. A lot of people like, oh, this album is not as great and blah, 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 or whatever. And she's just like, gets on and she's like, I don't care. Like, I'm just happy that you're talking about it. Like, you can like it, you can not like it. I'm in it for the long game. I'm here for the long game. This is just one piece of a much larger, what's the word I want to say? Much larger. It's not an era. It's like an epic. It's like a much larger. I don't know. I'm losing my words, but you know what I mean. Like this era is part of a larger.
Yeah, it's like the Canterbury Tales. It's that epilogue. It's that
yes.
idea of, absolutely. Yeah. And you're making me think of a couple of things there too. Is that when you said that Taylor is in the business of emotion, and you asked, of course, to reflect on like, what are you in the business of? One of the first things that I say is comfortable confidence. My business is called Marketing Confidence for a reason. And the idea here is that I'm really empowering people to be comfortably confident in who they are so that they can show up in their business in a way that not only feels good, but also converts.
Yeah.
So like, that's my wheelhouse. That's just what I believe in. And then I think of how she doesn't care how it's received. Really. She's like, I'm at the point where, guys, listen, I'm going to do what I want to do. The song. Oh man, it's my favorite song off of her new album.
And of course, Life of Ophelia, Wish List. What is it? Wood.
Actually Romantic.
The Taylor. Okay.
Actually Romantic. That one is one of my favorites, and it's for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's helped my daughter to go through a lot of things when it comes to, she's a tween right now at the time of this recording, and tweens that can be challenging, right? I mean within their own social groups. Yeah. So when she comes to me and says, so-and-so said this nasty thing or whatever, and I said, well, think about Taylor. It's actually romantic. You were on their mind. Yeah. You weren't thinking about them. You didn't care. You were living your own life. And during their downtime, you occupied a space in their mind. It's actually sweet. So just that idea.
She's a memorable person and she's leaving a mark.
Right. And it doesn't matter if they said, I didn't like this. It doesn't matter. You've made a mark. You've made an impact. And if you are intentional about living in your values and making a positive impact on the world, then who cares what other people think? You can stand true and you can step into your authentic self. You can really stand true in that power and just let them talk. Yep. It's actually sweet. It's
Let's
what did she
give
say?
them
It's
something
honestly
to
sweet.
talk.
It's actually romantic. And then she says she can hear the boyfriend say, "Why are we still talking about her?" Like, if you don't like her so much, why do you keep talking about her? It's funny how that works. So it just kind of helps you to kind of realize, it gives you perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you're showing up, let them talk if they'll talk. But keep in mind the fact that realistically, if you're posting on Instagram, your post, it's only alive for like max 3 hours. Any other platform, it's the same deal. It doesn't matter as much as you think it does.
It's so true.
Just do your
Nobody's thinking about you as much as you think they are. You know,
and if they are, it's actually romantic.
So
I love
true.
it.
Oh man, well, it's been such a joy to talk to you. I love it, Shauna. Thanks for the work that you do and how you show up. It's amazing.
I've appreciated this time on here. Honestly, if I get to geek out about branding, marketing, and Taylor Swift, hello, I'm here for this.
I know. She's like a marketing branding genius. Like she
I
needs
could
to
have.
do a master class.
They exist. Apparently, there are like Harvard classes on it. So here we are.
That doesn't surprise me because she's really figured out how to like love on her customers. Like she just loves on them so well that they just feel so loved. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's that idea of belonging.
Yes. Oh man. Well, my last and final question for you is about Moxie. What does the word Moxie mean to you, Shauna?
Oh, goodness. Moxie. I feel like I want to look it up now. Like the definition.
It's a very
of
American word. Yeah.
Oh,
It's like based on a there was a soda created in the 1850s called Moxie, and it was known for having a very bracing and unforgettable taste. And
ooh.
that's how it became slang for Moxie. So yeah, it's
That's
a cool word.
fun.
It has indigenous roots too. Like there's an Algonquin tribe that actually named a stream the Moxie Stream, and the stream was known for like, I guess it translated to like dark waters. Like it was known for having these like medicinal healing properties or something. So it's cool. It's a cool word. Yeah, it's a really cool word. Yeah.
And if I relate, so now that I have a fuller understanding of even the word, because to me, I was like Moxie, I thought, oh, it's like a name or something like that. Like, that's cool. Now I have a deeper understanding of the word. And it instantly, so I am a very musically inclined person. I love music. I love art. I love creativity. And it instantly made me think of the song Savage Daughter. Because it's the idea of like connecting to your roots in a way that goes against the grain, but not like, let me give an example. My own podcast, which you are a part of, which is great. So make sure, shameless advertising for her podcast, go over there and watch the one, because it was a great conversation as well. It's called Marketing Rebels. And when I was thinking about that name, I thought of the word rebels, and I thought, ooh, I don't know about that one, because at first, rebels to me, I was like, oh, not like we're gonna burn the place down and do criminal activities or something like that. But the more I thought about it, I thought, well, what about just the gentle rebel, the quiet rebellion, the rebel against injustice and wrong? And that, to me, is that Savage Daughter song where she says, I'm being in touch with myself, with the earth, and with all things nature, and my humanity, my femininity, and the harmony that exists around us. And that deep sense of knowing, maybe in the dark waters, and the medicinal qualities that you can find in your everyday, not just in literally the medicinal things that you can find in the cracks in your sidewalk, which is true, but also the medicinal qualities of having this kind of conversation, or laughing, or taking things slow, breathing deeply. It matters in a way that is bracing and divergent from the norm. And
I love
it's
that.
potentially rebellious. So my knee-jerk response is to think about being that savage daughter, or that person who embraces their fullness of self in a way that can literally change the world. If not for everyone, at least for one person.
Oh, that's so beautiful. My gosh. I love it, Shauna. So good. Embracing that fullness of self so that it can change the world. And if not one person, isn't that like what we really, like when it comes down to it, I just want to be able to create something that my daughters could be proud of, like it's not, it's simple. It's not really. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be hard. It can feel difficult sometimes, but it doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so good.
Making me think things about my 3 kids and the legacy that I want to leave as well. And not just for them, but for the people around me. And now I'm in the business of emotion.
I think we all are a little bit, for sure. But yeah. Oh, so cool. Well, this has been such a delight. And for our listeners out there, would love to invite you and encourage you to think about how you can show up as your fullest self, this fullness of self, and really think about that. What does fullness of self look like for you? And what are your values? Get really curious about what your values are, write them down, and think about how can I show up authentically with simplicity as my fullness of self in alignment with my values. And that is my invitation to you. And until next time, say hello, Moxie.
Thanks for listening to the Hello Moxie podcast. If today's story sparks something in you, share it with another woman who's ready to rise. Learn more about our community by visiting hellomoxie.us and discover how the Moxie method can help you reclaim your voice and lead with impact. See you next time.